Today was a big day and it was exciting because it was my last day of classes for the summer semester, and it was great because it finished in a really nice beautiful way because it was a class about exceptional students, and I thought that class has taught me more than ever, really, because every time we were introduced to disability of children and how to approach this sort of how to change your teaching methods to apply to that child, and it's called differentiation. um, how do we differentiate in our classrooms according to the needs of the children? That's the most valuable thing I've ever heard. Because when you are in a classroom in the States, in elementary school or any school, I assume, you have kids from all kinds of backgrounds and cultures and languages and disabilities and abilities and traumatic experiences and injuries of all sorts. And not only the child itself, but maybe the parents too. Maybe the parents have their own mental illnesses that they're dealing with. And even if you have like a happy, nice environment at school and good time, when you come home, there's this thing that you have to go through and adjust back to. And I think for the most part, my sister and I have been dealing with that. When I recall from our childhood, I enjoyed going to school. I really did. And in the high school, I was a rebel, but I did have my favorite subjects and teachers. And going back home was I didn't want to go back home, and it was an angry, overworked mother and a grandmother that was bedridden, and so my sister and I literally have had to take care of our grandma like a baby. And back then they did not have adult diapers, so everything had to be changed and washed by hand. And so we've been that for like, say, 13, 14, 15 year old girl is I don't want to say traumatic, because it's I don't have regrets for doing it, because my grandma is basically who raised me up. So that would be the least I could do to help her in her last days. But I would say that my classmates were not doing that. And everybody has to go through their hardships and challenges and things that are out of your comfort zone. Or anyway, so that's but every time when our teacher will introduce something like a new disability, a new chapter in the textbook, I would be like, I wonder if my kids have any of that. So I just always wonder. And because I read the signs, the characteristics, and how to cope with that in the classroom, and like what special education teachers and what services the schools have, and like, I'm always like putting like the magnifying glass over my kids, and I'm like, you guys go online, search what ADHD means, and tell and write in a few sentences what it means. And so they do that. And it also made me think every time a scenario will come in my head from my experience in Japan classroom. It for every disability, not for every, because I've never seen deaf kids and blind kids in my classrooms, but I've seen all the ADHD, all the autism one, the yeah, every time I would be like, oh my gosh, that kid. So it just like pops up, and I wish I had the chance then to know what I know now, and kind of like transform information that I was teaching, which was English, into available for everybody. I had literally kids. I mean, I'm right in front of her face, but she is just like doing like her sign, like how those Japanese pop stars, girls, or J-pop, they're always like dancing with their fingers, like showing. She was just like constantly doing that and not listening to us. Like we were two adults, one Japanese and me, and we would I would say the like a live recorded the words in English, and she would explain to them in Japanese how it works in a sentence. And so it would be two, plus the homeroom teacher sometimes was there too. And so it would be three adults, and she's just dancing all her head off. And I was like, this girl is not an English material. But guess what? Someday in the future, she might be somebody who is like, I don't know, an Olympic, I don't know, some kind of sports in the Olympics. Maybe she's gonna be a dancer. I don't know, but she's not an English material, and that's fine. That's totally fine. So all kids are today our it's amazing. Our instructor had a compilation, like a video of all the famous people, including some of the presidents of the United States. And it was like a slideshow with music. And it would show the name of the person, pictures of that person, and what disability they had underneath. And I was like, I mean, those were actors and actresses. Those were people well known in the society, and including presidents. And they had, I mean, name it all, dyslexia, depression, ADHD, some kind of mental issues, that a slow learning kind of experience. And I mean, there are all kinds of disabilities. I was like, really? Especially a lot of dyslexic people. And so good thing there are ways and methods and technology to teach them. And so they pick up quickly now with the rest of the world. But it's really interesting, like. And then there was an activity that we did for a few minutes. He told us to just go online and look for somebody. And so somebody who was gifted and talented, and then with disability of some sort. So somebody who is famous but who had some kind of disability to deal with. And I was like, huh, I just got into Andrea Bocelli, the Italian singer, writing songs person, and producer, right? Yeah, recording. Anyways, the kids. And so um I learned about him that he was blind. I didn't know that. I had no idea he was blind. I've seen him. He's one of the three world famous tenors, and you know, I've never really paid attention that he was blind. And when he was born, he had only his right eye could see about 10%, and that's how he could see light and color. And the rest, and they had multiple surgeries on him. And when he was 5, his mom introduced him to music, and so he started learning. He self-taught himself how to read music with probably what, I don't know how he did it. He didn't say in the website, but he self-taught himself how to read music and piano. And so he fell in love with classical music, and that's how he started singing and stuff like that. But they made a movie in 2017 about him, as a music of silent, a music in I don't know. With and the actor who was playing him, Andrea Bocelli, um had to mimic him and like did all the vocal cords and everything the same. And um and so and so when Andrea Bocelli asked the producers of the movies to, he said, to not portray his blindness as a weakness, as a disability, but as a part of who he is. And the book I read about a deaf person, now Niall DeMarco, um I think he has the same. And then the other my classmates who are reading books about other um guys who wrote about their life. And there, our teacher said, what is the common denominator, what is the common thing in all books? And it was this determination and resilience to um embrace what you got and make it your strength, not your weakness. And um they that's how they became Hollywood stars and famous people, and inspirational speakers, and like telling those who cannot do the same, who have the same disability, to stand up for themselves and not to think that they're any less than any other human being. And I love that. I love that. The actor who plays Harry Potter, he doesn't have really good motor skills and balance or whatever. So he said he can he could go there and play Harry Potter all he wanted, but then he couldn't even hold a pencil correctly or tie his shoes, because that's he couldn't do it. And so when people ask him to sign their book, he'll be like, "Oh boy, there you go." His signature was really not nice, and he said that in his school years he was absolutely miserable, and school was like waste of time for him because it's just not applicable. So he went into acting. His mom brought him into acting, and he embraced it, and that's how he could express himself. And so that's very interesting. I had no idea about that. um Winston Churchill, somebody googled him today, and he had a lot of things going on: dyslexia, he had ADHD. Well, I don't remember, like I don't want to say it because I'm not too sure, but he wrote a lot, and he had over 500 paintings as well. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So it was just great. It was a great class today. I learned so much, and it was just beautiful. Everybody presented their book, and we researched gifted but disabled people, that it could be double, but they're really really great at what they're doing. And I just learned that humanity as a whole, we are amazing human beings, and with potential and with talents and with gifts, and we are to share it with each other, not to look down on each other or judge. And so yeah, it was great. And now it's officially summer vacation for me too, and I start school back in the fall. I don't have to rush for assignments and make websites and write things and watch podcasts for a while and read articles and books. But I'm really excited for the fall semester, because that's where this was just the foundation, the setting up the ground for what's coming up. And it makes me really excited, because I just can't wait to be in classrooms, get to know those kiddos of mine, and just meet them 5 days a week, and get to know what families they come from. And I couldn't do that in Japan. See, that I couldn't do any of that. And I felt, maybe I was wrong, but maybe not all teachers, but I just felt that teachers just didn't want to know about the kids. They didn't want to. When it was the parents' day coming, everybody was so stressed and just dressed up so top notch, looking like Wall Street businessmen. And when the parents were gone, everybody was back to their sweatshirts and sweatshorts and trainers. And I don't know. To me, knowing the children in my classroom and their background and what their parents are like is very important, because sometimes, like, everybody in our lives has at least one teacher who was so great, and you could feel so comfortable around, that they made you the person you are, or help to shape the person you are today. I know I had a few of those teachers in elementary and in high school, and even in my university in Bulgaria and in Hawaii. I had favorite teachers, at least one. And some of the concepts they taught me and the things that they, how they carry themselves, how they express themselves, it was inspiring for me. I wanted to be like them. And so I, and that's the kind of teacher I want to be, because I know sometimes kids um, go back home to a challenging situation, or maybe they have struggle at home or at school to make friends with. I want to be their friend. And it's really exciting what's ahead. Let's see how it gets for the kids when they start going to. So I'll have one in junior high and two in elementary. So let's see how that goes. It'll be exciting. We're all students. We're all students and we're all learning. But then life is like that too. We're all learning constantly, all the time. And that's the beauty of it. I think that's what life is all about, to keep your mind open, to learn new things and meet new people and exchange information. And I mean, I had this semester 4 individuals who are taught me. I love them all. With one of them, I had hard time because she was an instructor on Zoom, but the I struggled with that class a little bit. So my grade there was not 100%, it was like 95 something, but I learned a lot from that teacher, and the rest were just brilliant. Um, this is the right place. This is just a place where everybody, like, I'm not used to people look at you and actually value you. Like they see your value, they treat you well, and there is no like bowing and nice smiles, and behind them is just empty. You don't know how to read that person like they did in Japan. It was just really creepy for me. And those are like real people who can tell you, who can ask you questions and you answer, and you just tell, and they tell you, it's good to have you here, it's great you're here, something like that. It just makes your existence sort of meaningful, even though I know I exist for, my kids. They're my they're the universe that I'm spinning around. And um just building yourself and with the knowledge and skills and character is, it's a brand new level, like 5 kids later kind of level that I never knew I could even reach. So with that said, summer starts. Yay.